Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you at practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, Affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Hi, this is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief. You're listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net. Finish the fight.
Did you grow up with a NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek, and I'm of course your host, Mike the Birdman Dodd. Well guys, I've been on hiatus for a little while, and as you can see, that's not working out for me too well. I'm still working and producing content for you, my wonderful audience. Well guys, as I was gathering nerd news a couple of weeks ago, I happened to catch wind of a very interesting movie. And well, let's not bullshit each other. Everybody knows that I love porn. So I found out there are these porno parodies. I mean, I'd seen This Ain't Star Trek bits and pieces. I thought that was friggin' hilarious. And then I found out there's a Batman one in development. And it turns out it's actually done. It's going to be released on Tuesday, May 24th. And I contacted Vivid Entertainment about this. And I contacted the director, Axel Braun. And as I contacted Vivid and Axel, I found out there's a lot more that went into this movie, and a couple of days later I got my screener copy. So as far as I know, I'm the first guy on the internet to review this in its entirety. So if you want to go over to reviewaday.ca, but I'm also going to include that post at the bottom of this one on the website if you want to hear my full 18 minutes on this. And I can't believe I reviewed a porno for 18 minutes, but hey, what can I say? It's fantastic. So as I started to watch this movie and go through some of the special features, there's like a 40-minute behind the scenes thing. And as we're talking to the director, Axel, I found out how much he really cares about film and how much this guy has significant nerd cred. So I contacted Axel directly and asked him if he would come on the show. And amazingly enough, he agreed. So without any further ado, I give you the director of Batman, a porno parody, and many other cinematic masterpieces. And I say that with all conviction. Welcome Axel Braun to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the cinematic masterpiece.
What can I say, dude? I haven't been entertained like this in a really long time. And I gotta say, that's something special. So
that's awesome.
It is. I mean, I saw this trailer on YouTube probably about 2 weeks ago, and then Vivid sent this to me on, I think, Monday. And I sat down and immediately watched it. And I gotta say, Axel, just the fact that you nailed everything with the 1960s Batman blows me away. So I guess let's go right into Batman, a porno parody, and then we'll get into your background. How did you come up with this idea? I mean, the 1960s Batman, that's something I never would have associated with porn. So how did you get this idea off the ground?
Well, listen, first of all, the whole thing is that when I was a kid, I grew up in Italy, and my father traveled to the United States when I was 5 and brought me back a Viewmaster. I don't know if you're familiar. It's like the little viewer with a 3D disc you put in and you flip through this 3D images, and the disc that came with the Viewmaster was Batman. Now, at the time, the Batman TV show had not been released in Italy, so I had no idea that it was a live-action Batman thing happening. I only read the comics, and I was a huge comic fan, of course. And so it's like, oh my God, this is real! It's the real thing. And that episode, the specific episode, was a perfect crime. And Julie Newmar played that woman, and man, I gotta tell you, the dirty thoughts that started going through my head at the age of 5, just watching Julie Newmar in spandex was unbelievable. So, I still have that disc and that Viewmaster. It's actually sitting on my desk right now. So for the past 39 years, I've been fantasizing about Julie Newmar and Catwoman and Batman and Robin and what would they do. So, when the parody genre started taking off in porn a couple of years ago, and parodies, and I did Happy Days, and I did I did a bunch of them, and the one that I wanted to do from the beginning was Batman, because I thought it was perfect. The original TV show is such great material for a porn parody, because we have these guys saying absurd things with a straight face. They're in on the joke. It's just so hilarious, and the problem that I was faced with is that a lot of companies would not understand how important it was to get all the details right, and that listen, I spent over $20,000 in costumes. You know what I mean? I went after the original fabrics, the original dyes. Some of them are impossible to find. You have to make them from scratch, and and trial and error, until it comes out right. The Riddler costume was redone 3 times. I mean, the Batman cowl was redone twice. There's so many things that went into it, but to me, it was important. Either I do it exactly perfect or I don't. I shoot 50 movies a year. I don't need to make just a parody to make a buck. You know what I mean? I wanted to do it for myself because I love this shit. So I started, talking about a couple of companies I work with, and everybody's like, well, we need to do it, but we need to spend less, and we need to spend less, and it's just I wasn't willing to do it. So at some point I go, you know what, I'll just pay for it myself. So I funded it myself, and I made a distribution deal with Vivid, and oh my God, Vivid is the biggest company in the world for a reason. These guys are just amazing. Steve Hirsch is just a genius, and he's so sharp and so quick, and it's just a pleasure to work with them. And they're so supportive. So they got it. They understood that you're going after a target audience that is the fans, the geeks, and I'm one of them. So it's easy for me to cater to them, and so I got a strong support both creatively and in every possible way, and that's it. It was important to get the details right, and that's what I did.
I mean, looking at the Batman porn parody, one of the things that I noticed, and like you mentioned, costumes, was especially set design. I mean, the opening of this movie starts with Dick and Bruce sitting playing that 3-level chess thing you'd seen in Star Trek, and I'm just thinking, this looks just like the opening of the TV show. And I don't know whether you did this intentionally, but even the lighting looks very similar. Yeah, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Well,
and
you see, listen, there are several things that to me are very important when doing parodies. You got to make it look and feel like the original. That means not only that the casting needs to be right, people need to actually kind of resemble the characters. You can't just throw a fucking wig on a dude, and you know what I mean, and all of a sudden it becomes Alfred, the butler. It just doesn't work like that. So, and the other thing is that if you want to sell the fantasy, it means that the framing needs to be the same. You know, the composition of the shots needs to be the same. The lighting needs to be the same. All these things, it's just when you watch, it's like, oh my God, it looks like that for a reason. If you start making, you know, sometimes I have to do it, you know, when I did Happy Days was shot in a very, you know, if you want lame, what is it, like 3 cameras that are all like, a wide, a tight shot, a 2 shot, this kind of stuff. And it's like a formula. It's always the same. There's nothing very creative about it. And I could have made it look a lot better, but it wouldn't have looked like the show. So you just got to try to stick to the formula that the show had. And that's what I did with Batman.
I mean, another thing that I noticed, and let's talk about kind of casting for a minute. When you cast Dale DeBone as Adam West Batman, I literally, it was so hard in times not to envision Adam West doing this, because he was perfect, and just his mannerisms, that's what really sold me about this. I mean, Dale legitimately
inspired casting. I know, but listen, this is really interesting because I originally this movie got pushed back like 2 or 3 times because of the costumes. The costume didn't come out right the first time. I wasn't happy. I could have still done it, but I didn't want to, so I pushed it back another 2 months and then another 2 months until everything was right. And the first time, the cast was completely different, and thank God that the costume situation happened. It allowed me to have more time and get the right people, because originally I cast Nick Manning in the role of Batman, because let's face it, there's not that many people in the porn industry that can kind of look like that, and Manning was the closest one, and yet it wasn't right. Now, Dale DeBone had retired, so 5 years ago, all of a sudden, in between, people in my industry started talking about this project. Everybody wanted to be in it, and Dale DeBone found out, and he actually called me from Florida and left me a voicemail with an impersonation of Adam West.
Oh, wow.
And he was so dead on. I go like, oh, God, I can't believe it. It's just perfect. So, I flew him here, and, we had to remeasure everything, the costume, everything was redone and stuff, and it was like unbelievable. It's just like a career-defining performance for sure.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, just with like Dale's performance, the fact that he had Adam West pauses down, just the way that he was having even the way he moved his head when he was talking to James Dean, you're thinking that's totally how he would talk to Burt Ward.
And believe me, trust me, there's a lot of work and a lot of rehearsal behind all this. It's everybody. We did some things. We did like 20 takes. I mean, there's one scene we went up till like 5 a.m. because we couldn't get it right. Sometimes there's more people involved in a scene, and one of them is a little off, or the timing is a little off. And everybody was willing to go over and over until it was done right. So there was so much commitment from the cast and the crew, and everybody was amazing.
Now, working with some of the other cast members, James Dean, once again, was cast as Robin, who very much resembles Burt Ward in his role. Oh, yeah. And he had, like I said, the right kind of energy and chemistry with Dale. And then there was one scene in particular, and I'm so surprised that this actually happened and was included, is that you actually got older actors to portray Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara. So how did you work with like those guys to come in on this type of a project? I mean, to really channel those actors.
Yeah, well, those are mainstream actors, and again, when we put the word out with casting agents and stuff, normally people shy away from doing any kind of work in the adult entertainment industry. But the project was so appealing to so many people that we got a bunch of people willing to come, and it was great. It was great. This guy, Jack English, who plays Commissioner Gordon, who is so amazing, is just a veteran actor. He's been in a million movies, and it's just it's great. It's great.
Now, let's talk about some of the girls you got to work in this. I mean, you had Kimberly Kane, Lexi Bell, Alexis Texas, very, very big names in the adult world. How did you go about casting them? And more specifically, what was the casting process involved in getting Lexi Bell to play Barbara Gordon / Batgirl?
As much as I would love to tell you that there's a casting couch and I had to fuck them all to get the part, it didn't happen. I actually know all of them from, I shoot a lot of movies, so I'm friends with many of them. And Tori Black specifically, when when the first seed of the idea, like a year and a half ago, popped in my head, I was going to do Batman. I was on set with her. I was shooting her on some other movie. I don't remember. And I go like, Tori, you have to play Catwoman in my Batman movie. She goes like, oh, my God, I would love to. And Tori, man, she's booked 3 months in advance. She's the hottest actress in porn right now. So it's very difficult to make the dates with your schedule if you don't plan, enough ahead. But she was the one thing that absolutely never was an issue, never changed. And everybody else, I had auditions with many, many people. I read just about everybody. And in the end, I thought that Lexi Bell had the right, it's got the, innocent look, and she's just, I don't know, she just looked right. And let me tell you, I did a few things on purpose to stir some trouble with the fan. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, when she's in costume, in the series, her hair is red. And yet I decided purposely not to wig or to dye her hair and to leave her just a little different. She had really nice, curly, natural blonde hair, like a blonde, strawberry blonde. And I left it away. And some people wrote on the message boards like, God, why didn't you put a wig on? Why didn't you dye her hair? Well, some things I wanted to do in my own way. I didn't want to I wanted to channel the show, but I wanted to put a couple of twists here and there. And another thing is, I don't know if you know this, but the Joker has a phaser from Star Trek.
I did notice that. I'm thinking, that's a Star Trek phaser from the 60s.
I did it on purpose, and you have no idea how many people, I can't believe it, that's a phaser. Oh, I spotted a phaser, I saw a phaser. And you know what? That gives people more stuff to talk about and just starts some trouble. And I thought it was interesting also because I'm the one who directed Star Trek. So, it was like a little joke inside the movie. So I just want to see how many people will catch it. So, everybody, all the talent, believe me, these were long hours, long days.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year! Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Let's consider the secret life of the innermost nesting doll. Living most of her life in the dark, inside the other nesting dolls, she has plenty of time to think, if she could. Sadly, she has no brain. However, when an innermost nesting doll hears that Geico not only saves people money, but also has been providing great service for over 75 years, she thinks it's obvious you should switch. Because yes, switching to Geico is a no-brainer. Pity the innermost nesting doll and her lot in life.
And everybody was so amazing and so committed. I'm just really, really, really grateful for the work they've done.
I mean, one of the other things that I think really sold this outside of Dale and James and all them was the fact that you got Evan Stone to play the Riddler and Randy Spears as the Joker. And
these guys, man, amazing. Randy, I mean, listen, Evan Stone, I use him every possible time that I can because the guy is just incredible, and he just there's a review that came out on AVN like yesterday, and God bless AVN, they gave me a 5-star review, and they said many beautiful things about the movie, and the reviewers who also happens to be the owner of AVN, he reviewed the movie personally, and he said not even Frank Gorshin, if he came out of the grave, could have played the Riddler better than Evan Stone, and it's true, it's amazing. Evan did that incredible job, and there's so many little things that they added, they improvised. And I always leave my actors, especially the good ones, enough leadway to improvise and throw their little things, and if it works, that's good, otherwise we'll do it again, but Evan was unbelievable, and Randy, man, this guy is just such a terrific actor. He just, listen, there's a beginning monologue with the Joker, and it was like a 3-page dialogue thing, and I planned on shooting it in 5 different shots. And I go like, well, let's rehearse it, and I'll shoot the rehearsal. And the rehearsal, he did the whole thing 3 pages in one take, and that's the take that ended up in the movie. The guy is just, he was so prepared and so oh my God, it's just everybody looked at each other like, oh my God, is that for real? You know, people are not used to people being so good at acting in porn. You know, we take it for granted and they're there to have sex. You know, they're not there to show off, you know, their acting skills. But it was unbelievable, man, unbelievable.
I mean, what I did actually, I showed my fiance a clip of Cesar Romero from the 60s version, and then I showed her the real one. She's like, holy shit. And she's not a big fan of porn, but she was absolutely blown away just the fact how much Randy Spears really nail it. And the fact that really impressed me is that you made him grow a mustache to keep in line with that.
I did make him grow a mustache. You know, Cesar Romero always refused to shave his mustache for the role, so he had makeup applied over it, and I just wanted to do the same. So, you know, Randy grew a mustache for the part. That's great. So now that you've had the success with, like, Batman, and obviously right at the end of the movie, you leave it open for a sequel. Is there going to be a sequel this year, maybe next year? This year it's tough because my schedule is completely full until next February. I got so much stuff. I'm working on Superman right now as we speak. I'm in the middle of pre-production with Superman, and God, you know, I'm shooting Avatar in a couple of weeks in 3D. And then I have so many things. After Superman, then I have Grease, then I have Spider-Man, then I have the Addams Family, then I have Captain America. I mean, it's just like it doesn't end. But you know, Vivid launched this Vivid superhero imprint, and they put me in charge of it, and it's just a dream come true, man. I mean, it's like a geek. Geek heaven for me.
So, all right, then let's talk a little bit about Nerd Cred and your background. But first, I want to know, have you ever considered doing a Doctor Who porn parody?
You know, it's funny you mentioned because I did several times. I thought about it. It's just that, you know, it's hard. It's a hard sell in the industry because most people. I mean, Doctor Who, this is like super nerd material, and most people in the industry, everybody knows who Spider-Man is, everybody knows who Captain America is, but like Doctor Who, what's that? You know, they're not familiar enough to say like, yeah, go for it. So it's not easy. It's so I bought web domains like possibly 3 years ago, like Doctor Who porn parody, the Doctor Who XXX, all this stuff. I own all of them. So it's a definite possibility in the future.
I most definitely hope we see a Doctor Who porn parody, especially if you do the David Tennant years. But
David Tennant, it has to be the David Tennant. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, it's if I did James Bond, I have to do Sean Connery. I can't even think about anything else. And again, you know, what I'm doing now is that, for example, with Spider-Man, which is like God, you know, I am making a costume that you will not even believe how amazing this costume is. And I've always wanted. I'm going after the Tobey Maguire kind of like era, those three movies. But I'm doing my own story. And I want to see things that I love in the comic book. And the main thing is like, dude, I want to see Electro. That's the villain that I want to see. He was my favorite villain, and the costume was so great, and I think it's perfect. And plus, I want to exploit this love triangle between him, Mary Jane, and Gwen Stacy, which was never really, you know, it was kind of like, you know, it was not that those two girls, there were not enough character development to me, especially Gwen Stacy. Just didn't make any sense in the movie. So I'm gonna do an origin story on Spider-Man, and I'll reboot the franchise, and there you go. You're gonna have Electro.
That's pretty amazing, just the fact that you're able to do this. And I read another interview you did saying that you have a movie accurate costume for this.
Oh yeah. Oh, believe me, you have no idea. They're making it right now. This costume is not. I'll show you the picture when it's done. You will not believe that is not a picture from the movie. It's amazing. And remember, in everything we need to make a couple little subtle changes in there, just enough to be on the right side of the law with copyright infringement. So we're doing it, but. God, the detail in this, the material, the webs, it's just unbelievable.
That's
so very looking forward to it.
That's going to be pretty cool. I'll probably be talking to you about that when that movie comes out. So let's go back to the past and let's find out, Axel, how did you get into all this? I mean, I'm reading here that you're the son of legendary porn pioneer, and I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Braun? Is that it?
Lassie Braun. So, well, my father started, producing and directing porn in 1961. So I didn't really have much of a choice in my plans for a career. It was just, it was there. But, he started, there was no porn industry. He started, my grandfather was a diplomat. He was the Italian consul in Germany. And my father had a diplomatic passport and diplomatic license plates, and of course enjoyed diplomatic immunity. So as a young man, he just got so attracted by pornography because you got to remember it's the 60s, and we're in the middle of the student revolution in Europe, and like the sex revolution, free love, all this stuff, and he just got into this whole thing. He started smuggling porn magazines that were illegal at the time. He had some friends in Europe that printed them, and he started smuggling them, and they couldn't stop him at custom because of his diplomatic status. So one thing led to another, and he just decided to run a little ad on an Italian newspaper offering, it's like saying adult movies from Sweden, and we're talking about Super 8, of course, back in the days, send $1 for a catalog to this P.O. box in Sweden. So he opened a P.O. box, and then he just went vacationing for a few months, and all of a sudden they call him back. He calls the mailbox to check on what's going on and say, Mr. Braun, you need to come back here because we have 4 shopping carts full of envelopes for you. We can't hold them in the store anymore. So a bunch of people sent $1 or whatever it was, but it's like the equivalent of maybe $20 today, and they wanted the catalog, and there was no catalog. So, he took all the money and shot a couple of 8mm movies with some girlfriends, and from that he started building this whole thing, and it became an empire. Within the year, he had 60 employees and a full-on replicate. It was ridiculous. He had a lab, and and then he came to America. And he went to see Ruben Sturman, who was a huge porn mogul back in the days. He owned, I don't know how many hundreds of bookstores where they sold adult magazines in States. And he told him, listen, Ruben, I have all these 8mm movies, and I have this idea. Why don't we build this little booth inside of your stores, and we put a projector inside, and people can put a coin and lock themselves in and watch a porn movie and jerk off, in the privacy of the booth. And so they partnered up. They invented the peep show machines, and it was a big deal back in the days. So what else was I supposed to do with my life?
That's amazing.
I tried to do other things, but.
And I've actually read that you actually went to actual film school, so you actually do have a background in shooting in 35 millimeter.
Yeah. I went to film school. I graduated first in Italy and then Columbia, here in Los Angeles. And I always wanted to make movies. I wanted to make real movies, of course. But then, you're inside of an industry where your father is has a lot of clout and a lot of doors are open, and it was fascinating, and in the beginning it was like an interesting hands-on experience because when I started 20 years ago, we still shot a bunch of stuff in 35 millimeters. So the process is the same, aside from the fact that you have to deal with actors that are normally not as talented with acting as mainstream actors. So there's more. It's more difficult. I thought it was a great schooling, you know what I mean? And then after a while, I was already sucked in, and I stayed.
So, all right. So as you got into the adult industry and you started shooting your own stuff, I noticed you shoot a lot of what I would call fetish stuff. And I'm looking at your videography here, and I'm just wondering, what's the fascination with squirting?
The squirting thing is interesting because it was a crusade of mine, a personal crusade of mine for a long time since I was very young. Because when I was 16, I read this book I was in France doing some research for a history final, and I was at the Sorbonne Library in Paris, which is a gorgeous place. And I was wandering around, and I looked at some book in the sexuality section. I found this very little book. It was actually an American book translated in French, and it was called Le Point G, which means the G spot. And I just like, I've heard about it. But again, I was 16, so, I started reading the book, and I found it fascinating. And he said that there's a percentage of women that can experience female ejaculation when their G spot is stimulated in a certain way. And I go, wow, that's interesting. So when I went back home to Italy, I had a girlfriend. I go, like, you know what? I just read this book. Why don't we try to see if we find this G spot? And we went to the bathroom and we laid some towels on the floor and we started like looking for this spot. And all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, she just like, oh my god, like explodes, like like a fucking geyser, all over the fucking bathroom. And like, wow, oh my god, the book said that there was 20% of women in the world, an average 20% of women who can experience this. And I'm like, oh my god, one of them is my girlfriend. That's awesome. So a couple of weeks later, I'm out with a friend of mine. We picked up a couple of chicks in a club, and then we took them home, and I started messing around. I go like, I'm gonna try to do the same thing. And sure enough, this stranger just started squirting all over the place. I go like, oh my god, that's two. That's how lucky can I be? There's like already two people. And then listen, I was young and I was a man whore, so I was fucking around all the time. And every girl that I had sex with, I tried to do the same thing, and they all squirt. So after a while, I started thinking, maybe it's me, maybe I figured out a way to, this works. And I established that, listen, this is like, God, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I was 16, so I'm 43, so it's almost 30 years ago. I've had sex with, like 3,000 women since then. They all squirted. It means that, it's not just me. It's that every woman can ejaculate, and that's the truth. And when I started exploiting this whole thing in movies, and it became a huge success. I did the first years, I think, was Squirting 101. It was a huge hit. Still to this day, I still have people emailing me about it. I keep selling. It's crazy. And and for a while, when I started, there was no squirting whatsoever in the porn industry, and all of a sudden, a couple of years later, there's a category at AVN for best squirting movie, best squirting performance, best squirting title release. It's just like it became a genre on himself, and I'm really happy and proud that I was the one triggering it. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. Just the fact that looking at what your father accomplished, and then what your contributions have been to the adult industry. That's fantastic. So I guess, Axel, as my last couple of questions here, what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue a career in directing and producing adult movies?
Okay, first of all, you got to understand, people need to understand that it's not, from the outside, it seems like it's the greatest job in the world. It's not. If you want to be successful, it is a job. You have to work constantly. I'm very successful, but I have no life. It's the truth. You want to be good at something, you got to work hard, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter. And think about it. I still had a lot of open doors, and I had a privileged situation, but you still have to work hard, and you just got to be consistent. And you can't just rely on luck. You can't rely on you can't take it lightly. It is a business. You have to treat it like a business in every aspect. You got to be detail oriented. You got to be on the ball. You got to be willing to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, and that's it. If you just do it because you want to make a quick buck, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have longevity. You're going to have, if you're lucky, you have some kind of moderate success, and then it goes away. I've been on this for 20 years, and I had goals, and I keep, trying to raise the bar and trying to do things right, and it pays off. But again, a party, it's not like I don't go out, I don't hang out with porn people. I treat everything with respect, and I treat it like a business, and that's why, it works.
Well, Axel, I definitely want to thank you for your time, but I do want you to hold the line just for a moment. So, guys, this was my interview with Axel Braun. Axel, thank you so much for doing this, for taking time out of your obviously very busy day.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, guys. So if you want to find out more about this, you can go to Vivid's website and you can pre-order this movie, but you can probably find it in stores beginning on Tuesday, May 24th. I so recommend you check out the Batman XXX. It's fantastic. He's also done some other pretty funny movies like This Ain't Beverly Hills 90210, This Ain't Happy Days, Saved by the Bell, if you can believe that, and many other great movies. If you want a good laugh, and hey, if you want to get a little turned on, that's okay too. Totally worth it. Be sure to check that out. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me for the hiatus edition of this. There's going to be a lot more porn stars coming up in the month of June. I think you guys are going to be really happy with what I got going on. So as I'm often fond of saying whenever I sign off this thing, live free or die hard. And I'll catch you guys again real soon. I'll see you again in June.
Want to see me make bubbles with my spit?
Sure do. In fact, that's the theme of our next show. So don't miss it.
What the hell happened to George Lucas?
Remember, kids, buy pizza, pay with steak. What's your social media business card? My fist. Just give me a big box of beef.
Don't give them ideas.
Don't forget our other Twig project, GeorgeLucasHasLostHisMind.com. Does Jesus have Matrix powers?
I think the Pillsbury Doughboys albino.
I'd like to see a cat on Tourette's.
That's the moment I give up on life. Because then I don't know what to believe in anymore. When the Amish start twittering, I'm done.
Can we leave this subject alone?
Hello.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh no. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm confused. As you can imagine, they don't let us out much.
You've been listening to This Week in Geek. Tune in next week to hear Kyle Hebert say,
Today, the world. Tomorrow, the universe. Next week, my chiropractor. Ay, my back.
check out our website, ThisWeekInGeek.net, for more geek content, as well as subscribe to our podcast through iTunes or any podcatcher. If you'd like to comment about this episode, head to this episode post on ThisWeekInGeek.net and comment through Facebook Connect. Or you can also call our voicemail line at 817-717-7202. Or email us at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. This extra music was produced by perpetualemotionmachine.ca. We'll see you next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you at practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle. It took 15 minutes to take a spirit animal quiz online.
Please be the cheetah. Please be the cheetah.
And learn your animal isn't the cheetah, but the far less appealing blobfish.
Oh, come on.
To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 blobfish minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.